Hey, my name is Crystal Farmer Seagard, pronouns she, her, hers, and you are watching Voices of Liberation. My conversation is going to be so fruitful today. I'll be talking to Chelsea Lancaster and Dylan Griffith on policing in the prison industrial complex. Y'all know breaking bread is communal, as you will hear me say in plenty of these episodes and introductions. And this episode, we will be eating banana bread that was so yummy. That was so graciously given to us by Crush Cakes, that is local in this community. And I'm so excited for you to tune in to this very important conversation. Let's get into it. So, hey fam, how are y'all today? How's it going? How we feeling?
It's good. It's real good.
Feeling good. We feeling good. Feeling great.
Feeling good, looking good, doing good.
Oh,
As
you're
always.
looking fabulous. Just fabulous.
What about me? Tell me something
As
nice too.
always, looking dapper, looking good.
White men already looking for
Right.
Don't leave me out.
All right, so everybody already knows me already, but let's get into y'all intros. Who are you? What orgs are you representing? And just, who are you as a person?
Ladies first.
Hello, everybody. My name is Chelsea Lancaster, she, her, and I'm just here representing myself as a local person who gives a fuck and as part of El Centro Santa Barbara.
What's up, y'all? My name is Dylan Griffith, he, him pronouns. I'm also just a community member in Santa Barbara who does a lot of stuff around policing and incarceration specifically. And I'm currently the development director for Freedom for Youth. That's what I do for work, but you know, representing life here right now.
That's right,
Yeah.
that's right. That's all we can do. So let's get into it. Let's get into this conversation, y'all, because we talk all the time as organizers, as friends during midlife crisis.
Midlife?
You know when you
Talk
boob,
about me like that.
Chelsea boob dialed.
Quarter life crisis.
Chelsea boob dialed us the other day, like in the middle of nowhere. Remember on FaceTime, just accidentally.
Oh, I boot dialed them. That's what, that's what you gotta do.
That's what we do, right? And then we just end up organizing, talking about life, being in community. And so I just want to thank y'all firstly for having this conversation because it's so important. I value what you do in this community and I see y'all. So thank you for being here. So let's get into it. So it's the start, or I won't say the start, kind of the height of the pandemic, right? Black Lives Matter movement goes globally. Everybody's talking about defund the police. How are you feeling? What's coming up for you?
Personally, I'm like, it's about time. And it's a tragedy that it took a tragedy to occur for that movement to unfold. One of many, many thousands of tragedies, but it's like people are finally waking up. So it's that dissonance, it's that push and pull of like, I'm happy that we're here, but also it's terrible how we got here, you know? That's how I was feeling, May 25 at least.
Yeah, I think for me, a lot of the same emotions, and then just thinking about how beautiful it was and how proud I was for Black folks and Black women and Black mothers, especially in this community, to have a moment. For women who had been leading and loving and planting seeds of abolition and speaking truth to power in so many ways for so long. When I think about the 805, but often feeling erased or displaced or never at the center, right? And so for me, really thinking about like centering Black liberation and watching y'all lead, as the healing justice movement evolved locally, was just a really beautiful thing. And then watching that happen, worldwide, like the world showed up
Straight up
in solidarity with Black lives. And that was just something that I don't think I had imagined in my lifetime, right? It's something we hope for, it's something we dream about. But to bear witness to it was just like, damn,
I hear that.
It's a moment, it's a movement. And again, so many of the things that folks had been dreaming about for so long finally felt possible.
I hear that. It was like bittersweet for me. I think as a Black woman, it was like finally, right? People are seeing us, people are hearing us, but then people expected us to carry so much. So it was like, what do I do?
Right.
like everybody is asking for labor from us. Everybody is like sharing things, trying to get involved, like donating, and just waiting, almost like waiting for us to act and to move. It was overwhelming to the point where everyone was just go, go, go. And there was little pause, like at least for me looking back, I was like, should we have paused for a moment and rested and just thought about like, what does this mean? How do we want to organize? And that kind of leads me into the next thing that I wanted to talk about. How did that change the way you both organized?
That's a great question. I think in terms of the spaces that I occupy on a daily or weekly basis, I think I saw not only myself experiencing a little bit more of like awakening, I'll call it, but like especially for the other folks around me, it was like light switches, light bulbs were going off, you know what I mean? People were having like the whatever Jimmy Neutron brain blast moments, and I'm just like, yes, take like harness that energy, you know what I mean? And like, how can you continue it and draw it out for long term? Because what we noticed so much was super, super heightened engagement and desire to be involved, and then everyone just fell off, everybody. So for me, I tried to really approach it with how can I be consistent in this moment for the long term, because this isn't something that was new, but it also wasn't something that I wanted to like discredit or not acknowledge the intensity, the significance of the moment. It was a trip to realize in several moments that I was like, I'm experiencing history live right now. You know what I mean?
That's right.
That was a trip for sure. So.
That's right.
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, so I think we should name, right, part of the intention of Dylan and I being here in the context of Black History Month, of Black Herstory Month, is really to acknowledge the role of white and white presenting people, right? In movement work, in risk taking, in the disruption of white supremacy in every space that we exist in, which is literally every space that we exist in, is rooted in white supremacy. So I think for me, and we have been organizing for years. I mean, Crystal and I have been through it, you know, through City College, through all kinds of mess, right? Simone, through El Centro, and just, you know, all of us growing in friendship together, right? But for me, it was like, okay, it's really time to activate Santa Barbara and challenge folks to get to work, because a lot of the work, right, a lot of people were in their book clubs, and it was like, okay, when shit gets real violent, how's your book working out? So it's that both and, right? It's grounding people in the yes, that person in the mirror work is so important.
Right.
For me, I always have to interrogate my white privilege, you know, all my privileges that I possess, and then what am I going to do with it? And how am I going to use the skin that I'm in to really disrupt these systems? And so for me, it was really just following their lead and just being a strategic co-conspirator as an organizer, right? Like, oh no, we know how to do this. This is how we're going to do it. And then I think the big, you know, the action on May 31st, I don't know if we're going to talk about that, but it was like, oh shit, because it's literally like everything that we had dreamed of and too much.
Right.
Because it was 3,500 people and we did not expect that many folks, right?
Yeah.
And we were like security team, like, oh shit, okay, medics, y'all good? Like, and then we had a lot of, you know, white disruptors and people in the crowd, and then of course being met with a violent police barricade. It was like, how do I control my own emotions too and my reactivity, so that I can keep us safe, keep all of us safe? And so, yeah, it was just so much. And then I think bringing the demands forward, and then all the demands got met. Again, a lot of labor happening behind it, but then all the demands got met. We're like, oh shit, we thought that was going to take months, right? But we had been planting seeds and we had been doing the work in various ways. So yeah, sorry, I'll shut up. But
Nah,
all that.
Nah, talk your shit. Talk your shit. I mean, just what you were talking about, like we had all been planting seeds, so we all were able to activate and just go because we had, we know the playbook, we know how this works. But to your point too, yeah, that shit was hella fucking fast. Like, I mean, all of a sudden they were like, "Yeah, we'll meet your demands." We were like, "Say what? You gonna be what? Our demands? Really?" And it was just like, this city council passing a resolution, this city council, this city council, this city council, which kind of put Black folks at like the center of this like liberation movement. But also what I've seen that's changed, just in the context of like respecting people that are most impacted, is like allowing them to be the center of their stories. Like we're seeing that just throughout, I would say, society of like, hey, this is inappropriate. Indigenous folks should lead this. Hey, this is inappropriate. Latinx folks should lead this. But getting to the point you made, Dylan, with how it went, phew.
Right.
Often, I think, we love Santa Barbara, right, for its beauty. Y'all know where I'm going. Love it for its beauty. Not gonna lie, love that I could get somewhere in 10 minutes because every time I go to LA, I'm like, hell no. But people forget that this shit happens here. And I know, Dylan, you got the stats and the data, and I know, Chelsea, you do too. Let's get into that. Like, let's really talk about what policing looks like here, what it means to defund the police. We can even talk about the SRO victory today, but I really think we should lay that out for people because so often people want to take a blind eye, like it's not happening in this community, and it is.
Yeah.
I'm gonna let Dylan drop all the stats and all that, but I want to say that Santa Barbara is the perfect example of like that violent white progressiveness.
Neoliberal, yep.
Like, we're so progressive here, but we can't build no affordable housing because like all the ways that white violence shows up is very evident through all of this, right? And I'm gonna let.
Well, I mean, speaking of affordable housing, the city of Santa Barbara spends, God, it's like 36 times more money on the police department than they do on affordable housing. So for those that are unaware, Santa Barbara has a high cost of living, like mad high.
Say it again.
And that is almost unarguably one of the biggest issues that we face, that a lot of community members face here is, we are consistently ranked in the top 3 highest rates of poverty for both children and families living in poverty in the whole state of California. Whole state of California. And when I tell people who live in Santa Barbara, when I tell them that, they're like, no. I'm like, yes. Because when there's extreme wealth in places, there's the other side of the spectrum. There's the wealth gap, right? And it just deepens and deepens and deepens. You go up the hill, you're looking at 15, 20, $40 million homes maybe even? Shit's crazy. So, I mean, just kind of more money stuff off the top of my head, specifically related to policing, is our police department, Santa Barbara PD, gets 94% more funding per capita gets more funding than 94% of police departments per capita in the state of California. So the amount of space and the amount of people that Santa Barbara occupies and the territory that Santa Barbara Police Department is supposed to be keeping safe, they get more funding than 94% of departments. It's crazy.
Makes sense.
And when you combine that with this, that they make more low-level arrests than 99% of police departments. And a low-level arrest is stuff like substance use, houselessness, right? So when we talk about not spending money on it in affordable housing, and then we talk about our police department hyper surveilling and hyper policing houseless community members, it's like, what do you know? that's also where our city's dollars are going into.
And that is just the Santa Barbara Police Department.
Right.
We're not talking about the Sheriff's Department. We're not talking about the jail.
Yep.
We're not talking about the new jail they just built in Santa Maria in North County,
Yeah.
right? That's just SBPD.
Yep.
Dylan, drop that shit you dropped last night at the end of the meeting, the SRO meeting.
Yeah. So, and that's really like showing to how schools are manifesting the school to prison pipeline, and not just through SROs, right? School resource officers, AKA police on campus, AKA violence on campus, brought to you by the Santa Barbara Sheriff's Office. But one of the statistics that shows that is, 94% of youth who are currently on probation supervision, and this is countywide, this is not just the city of Santa Barbara, this is throughout the entire county. 94% of youth on probation supervision, whether they're in custody or just out in the community but on supervision, are Black, brown, or Asian. So that's only 6% white youth. And I don't know the demographics of Santa Barbara County as a whole off the top of my head, but it's over 50% white, to my understanding.
Yeah,
So-
black people is like in the 1%.
I think it's 1.8,
Yeah.
2% if you
Low.
round.
Yeah.
So that's crazy,
Yeah.
right? And there are currently 0 white youth, and for the past full year, there have been 0 white youth in custody. So 0, not a single white child has been locked up. I'm not advocating for children to get locked up, period.
Yeah.
But there's an obvious, disproportionate policing level and also sentencing level.
Yep.
Because on the sentencing aspect, what we see with the higher level offenses, right, is we see only Black, brown, and Asian youth being sent to the Division of Juvenile Justice, aka like the California Youth Authority. So they get sent to the state facilities. In the last 5 or 6 years, not a single white youth has been sent to the state level. It's been all youth of color, not a single one. So, when I bring up, this data is published by probation or published by the sheriff.
Right.
But then when you verbalize their own data that they publish back to them in a public meeting, they all team up on you.
Yep.
And then I got kicked off the Juvenile Justice Coordinating Council because of that. But that's not something that we need to talk about right now. But it's crazy how the response is, I hate to say it, but it's textbook white fragility.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Text.
Just to name it,
Well,
it's
and we've been,
textbook.
the sheriffs, we've been coming for the sheriff forever. And the sheriff's department, talk about somebody who is completely,
Incompetent.
racist, misogynist, not accountable at all, right? So he overspends his budget by millions every single year, and the Board of Supervisors just keep throwing change at him. We keep challenging him on his racism, both in policing, in the jail, in people like Officer Rogers, who murdered 5 of our community members with no accountability, no consequences. He just got to move to another state and start his whole life over. But now we have this dashboard, right? Because he keeps saying, I can't provide data. There's nobody to do the data. We can't do it. Now this dashboard, over 70% of the folks in the Santa Barbara County Jail are people of color. So again, huge overrepresentation of folks of color in the jail. And Santa Barbara, for the longest time, has had the highest pre-trial detention rate of any other city in the entire state of California.
Yep.
So we put people in jail, we arrest them, we put them in jail. DA Dudley, say her name too. By the way, everybody's going to be watching this.
Yep.
Hopefully,
Say her name too.
say names. Hopefully, everybody's going to be watching this February of 2022. So elections are coming up in November of 2022. And DA Dudley and the sheriff are both up for election. I don't know if he's running again, but her whack ass probably will. So we need to get serious about that because everything we're talking about, right?
Right.
But this is Santa Barbara County. Our youth, Los Prietos Boys Camp, right?
Right,
I
right.
said this at that May 31st. Nobody thinks about what Los Prietos means. That means the dark one. So if we're not sending our children to the youth authority, we're sending them to the dark ones camp up on the hill. And this is the truth that Santa Barbara County needs to reckon with.
Yeah,
Yep.
absolutely.
Absolutely. When you,
I'm all hot. Sorry.
I mean, one, it's like, it's their data.
right?
Right.
That they're putting out.
Yeah.
So it's just like, it's
Yep.
just like, come on. But yeah, so I'm just like processing that because it's infuriating.
Yeah.
It's infuriating. And then they're mad at us when we come to their meetings and tell them about their data.
Right.
And what's wrong with it.
Yeah.
Nobody
Yeah.
likes truth telling,
No one.
especially in this town. Again, people would much rather be comfortable than have to confront the reality of this place. And it
Yeah.
goes back to the origins of policing, right? Everything you talked about, this being a wealthy white community, right? And all the folks that live in the margins to keep this place going or can't live here, that commute here to keep this place going. It's all about protecting white wealth. Slave
Yeah.
patrols. The root of policing, it still serves the same function. They are here to protect the wealth of white people. And then they want to be like, what about domestic violence? Don't get me started about that.
Right. Period.
Cops have over 40% chance of being domestic abusers themselves.
Yeah.
On record, because most of it never gets reported.
Right. And if it does get reported, then there's an internal investigation. And who's investigating the police? The police themselves. As
We
we
investigated ourselves and found we did nothing wrong.
and
And
sip.
scene.
Yeah.
So, with all that said, and with where we are now, and just the latest victory, right, with the Santa Barbara Unified School District and getting that SRO of San Marcos, right?
Out of San Marcos, yeah.
Remind me again, because I like to give credit where it's due. SB Youth Coalition, or is it Cops Off Campus?
I know their Instagram handle is Cops Off
Cops
Campus.
Off Campus, but I think it's
SB.
like some youth coalition.
Yeah.
Sorry,
No,
I'm
and
trying to
it's-
give credit.
Yeah, and it's multiple movements
Yeah.
and
Right.
years of
Yeah,
coming.
absolutely.
This was the third time,
Yep.
right?
Right.
So also giving credit to the Black youth that
Yes,
organized
Absolutely.
yes.
and agitated around
The
this
Santa
last
Barbara
year.
Black Student
Union.
Youth Coalition.
Yeah.
Y'all, it's a lot of acronyms. It's a lot of acronyms.
Yeah.
But y'all know who y'all are. Y'all know who
Yes.
y'all are.
And
But
we
that's
know
the
who you
beauty
are
of
in
it, right,
person.
is we're talking about collectivism with multiple folks coming at the same issue from different
Right.
perspectives at different times. And yeah, go ahead.
So now, fast forward, we're here today. Not really that much fast forward because it's just, this victory was just yesterday.
Sure.
Before we wrap up this beautiful conversation, what can people do today to keep these movements going, to keep the defund the police movement going, to continue to get school resource officers off of campus, and to continue to especially protect our youth, and especially our youth of color? What can folks do?
That's a great question. I want to first name that education is important. Wait. Or I should say, only if it's combined alongside with action. If you think educating yourself is creating social change, it's not. I hate to break it to you, but it's really not. So we talked. You mentioned the book clubs earlier. If you're in a book club, that's great. That should be part of your self-care regimen for yourself, because you're learning about not only yourself and your own experiences, your own bias, your own understandings, your own belief and value systems, but you're also learning about other people's experiences, hopefully through that a little bit. But if you're not actually creating relationships with people out in the community, nothing's gonna happen. There's no change that's gonna get made. Nothing's like, no practical or tangible change is going to occur in the community. Therefore, I almost think like what's the use, kind of. And again, if education is not combined with action, then you're kind of only benefiting yourself, right? Education without action is actually just pure self-benefit.
Yep.
You know, so there's a lot of platforms to get involved specifically in Santa Barbara. I'll just name one, being Showing Up for Racial Justice Santa Barbara. So Showing Up for Racial Justice is a national organization. There's damn near over 200 chapters throughout the nation now. And it's specifically to educate, organize, and mobilize white people to join the multiracial movement for racial justice. So it's about, again, educating, mobilizing, and organizing white folks predominantly to get involved, because white people created this mess. We created this mess, white people out there watching. Let's name that immediately,
This mess.
right? And when I say
He
mess,
said it, I didn't.
when I say mess, I want to be a little bit more precise and explicit. We created this violence, we created this genocide, we created this intergenerational cycles of trauma. More, you get the idea. So reach out to the local chapter, Showing Up for Racial Justice Santa Barbara. You can get some knowledge, you can get plugged into the community, you can understand how you can create tangible change in the community through that platform.
Oh.
So yes, for all the melanin deficient folks, join Surge. Because what Mariam Kaba, who's an incredible abolitionist, highly recommend her reading, reminds us is that we don't do anything alone, right? If you're operating alone, if you're trying to move some shit alone, you're doing it wrong.
Right.
We need one another. We need one another. We need one another to get free. We need to build relationships that are grounded in trust and accountability to folks of color. If you're doing the work and you're not accountable and you're not willing to hear about your own shit, then you're not doing the work right. And so the other thing is like, don't let your hurt feelings or your fragility or whatever, like let's decenter whiteness, let's decenter your hurt feelings, and just move shoulder to shoulder, learn how to take space, make space. And for white parents out there, like talk to your kids. This shit starts at home.
Oh, yeah.
You need to be having uncomfortable conversations with your children. You need to be showing up to these board meetings. I want to name that the attack on critical race theory and all these like boogeymen that violent white folks love to make up, right? That's the latest shit iteration of it. It's right here. It's with fair education. It's with impact education. It's with all the little names that they come up for their movement because they don't want their children to learn the truth. And I loved that recent meme where it was like the young black women that were desegregating schools, and they were like, they're attacking CRT because they don't want you to know that their grandma was the one that didn't want these black young women to go to school with their grandma, you know? I messed that all up, but you get the point. You get the point.
I was like, who's
We
grandma?
live in an ahistorical nation. We need to tell the truth, and we need to tell the truth about America's two original sins, which is chattel slavery and colonization, genocide of Native Americans. And until we can really talk about like reparations and land rematriation and get real about that and put in work, then, and people need to remember that abolition, according to Ruth Wilson Gilmore, is not about like subtraction, it's about addition. We want life-affirming systems.
So that was such a great episode. I really enjoyed being in community with you both. The conversation was both liberating, nourishing, healing. But any final words, like something that just has to be said?
You want me to hit it? I can hit some. Specifically for white people, a great way to utilize your privilege when organizing is to go after white people's money. And when I say go after white people's money, I mean individuals and I mean institutions. So go after city council's money and get those funds redistributed. Go after the board of supervisors, the county's money, and get those funds redistributed. Go after the police department's money, sheriff, blah, 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 district attorney. You get the drill. That is a mad effective way to create change. And that's a great way to utilize your skin privilege specifically.
And really quick, I want to add, and don't believe them when they say they ain't got it, because they got it.
They
Straight
got
up.
it.
Straight
They
up.
got it.
Give black folks money, give indigenous or like literally redistribute the resources, extract that. And this is as a reminder, folks keep calling BIPOC folks, folks of color, minorities. This is the global majority. So you're either in or you're in the way at this point.
Oh, you in or you in the way. You in or you in the way.
We're getting free. So
Yep.
I don't know.
That's really what we're going. Onward.
Recurring donations. Auto pay.
Every month.
Check the auto pay box.
No, seriously.
And then forget about it.
Yep.
But also remember because it's important.
And really, you can skip the happy hour with that whack ass white friend you have.
Yeah.
Literally, that $50 with that bitch you don't even like anymore that you went to high school with, just give it to Healing Justice
Right.
or
Yeah.
another organization that's doing the work. I don't know.
No, seriously, cut off that dead weight. Like,
Yeah.
if people are
Weed your
homophobic, transphobic, racist, xenophobic, cut the shit. It's
Yeah.
just, it's not, it's, what is it? How do I speak in their language? It's so not 2021 anymore to, like, be like that. So, yeah, cut it, dead it, it's whack, it's not anymore. People are liberated. Our youth are activated as fuck. They're out here. They're non-binary. They're queer. They're doing their shit, and we need to learn from them. Listen to the youth. Involve all youth in your movements. Engage with them. They're so smart, so intelligent. They keep me young. You know, I like to say I'm 30 years young now, not 30 years old. Very youthful, you know. I still get carded, by the way, if anybody's wondering. Just
I'm over here like, damn, I don't.
they still ask me. But yeah, make sure your movements are inclusive, and really, like we all said at this table, we are better together.
Right.
And that is why I met you all, and that is why we organize together, and that is why we win and we see success. It's because we lean on each other, we empower each other's strong suits, and we step back when we need to, and that's important. But again, thank y'all for this conversation.
I believe
Thank
that
you.
we will win. I believe that.
Hey.
I don't know this one. I don't know it, but I'm going to pop it. I'm going to drop it. You know me. Don't make me get back in the club. I'm just kidding. I'm not going back to State Street. I'm not going back. I'm not going back. I'm not going back.
The work too.
Yes. And
Right.
It
rest.
has to be joy.
No, hey, let's highlight that though.
Yep.
There needs to be joy in our movements. We
Right.
talk about this so much as organizers, and we don't just fucking live anymore, and we need to still live. Like, we need to still experience joy. It's essential to being able to get out every day and still fight the good fight.
Yep.
So, you know, shake that ass, ladies.
And
Gentlemen, too.
fellas. And
Or
fellas.
people,
Yes.
people shake that ass.
Yes.
Twerk it, do what you need to do. But find your joy and find your why. Build community and have conversations like this.
Right.
And I'm just so thankful for y'all. So thankful for your time. We need to do a little cheers.
Yes.
Cheers. It's
Yes.
tea in here.
Yes.
It's tea in here. It's tea in here.
Cheers.
It's tea in here.
I drank all my tea.